Free, good morning.
Good morning.
So we reacted to your stay or go post that you do on an annual basis. Always look forward to it. And obviously there's always reaction. First and foremost, before we get into the players, I want you to explain, because I know there's some people that think it's like your personal wants. It's not. It's your reporting and your opinion. Is that correct?
Yeah, and honestly, it's like I haven't done very much reporting by the time I did it 2 weeks ago. So, honestly, I don't know how comfortable I feel with some of them now that I've done a little more reporting on some of them. So, full disclosure about that. I mean, quite frankly, people were upset that I had Zack Baun leaving. And, I've done a little more reporting, and that might not be the case. And I think I had Milton staying, and that could be difficult, I think, based upon, what he's going to be getting paid. But yeah, it's typically what I think is going to happen in terms of what Howie, will do, once free agency and the new league year starts next month. But, I've usually done pretty well. Sometimes I have not.
But so now all of a sudden your feeling towards Zack Baun may be changing, because you do have him as a go on this post, but you have a good feeling he might be back?
Well, this week we'll say a lot. Obviously, we get Howie and Nick this afternoon. We'll be able to talk to them. I'll get a better reading on that. And yeah, I've already done some reporting, not yet ready to go there entirely. But, look, again, this week is a lot, it's the combine, but it's really for the teams to get together, with some top agents and to talk about, with the players that they do have still under contract until the new league year, and potentially free agents. We all know that legal tampering doesn't really technically start until the 10th. But let's be honest, they're already kind of looking ahead to that and having those types of conversations here in Indianapolis. And then so that's when a lot of the information starts to kind of come out a little bit, seep out a little bit. And so I'm going to try and do as much reporting as I can to find out where the Eagles stand on their own free agents specifically. I think that, the fact that the cap is going to be going up drastically will make it a little easier for the Eagles to retain some of their guys. And again, when I did the exercise 2 weeks ago, and I put it out last week, but it was already online a while ago. We didn't know the exact number of the cap. So, yeah, I can't believe people are taking it so much to heart. I guess maybe because they thought it was my opinion versus what I think is going to happen. Certainly, I think Zack Baun had a great year and certainly is warranted returning. That being said, I think there's going to be a market for him. And will the Eagles be willing to pay $16, $18 million a year if he's going to get that much?
I chuckle at the concept, Jeff, that when people will talk about players taking a hometown discount, I think it's always sort of, over chatted about. Are there players though who you think would love to be here so much that their negotiations may be more reasonable?
Yeah, that's a fair point, and yeah,
not a discount, but just the idea that more reasonable.
Right, and I think that happens. It doesn't happen very often. These guys hire agents for a reason, right? They have representatives for them. These guys are good at what they do in most cases, and they're going to get top dollar. And I think Zack Baun has Jimmy Sexton. He's one of the best agents in around, and he's not going to get something that isn't going to reflect well upon him. And he wants to do the best that he can do for his client. And this is Zack's opportunity to cash in, right? He's 28. This is his last time to get an extension. And certainly at a position where in recent history just aren't going to get paid. But that being said, there are ways you can help with your contract structure, right? And talking to Zack and talking to the team a little bit and understanding that. I think he's willing to play ball in that respect. But all things being equal, he's going to go where he's going to get the most money.
Jeff, you said some of the people that you said stay or go, you've changed your opinion on that based off your reporting over the last couple of weeks, but you had both Darius Slay and Mekhi Becton on the way out. I'll ask you, is that because of Mekhi Becton maybe getting himself a big contract? is Darius Slay just time to move on for the Eagles franchise? And how much easier is it for the Eagles knowing that Tyler Steen and Cooper DeJean could be in the waiting to take over those two spots?
Right. I still feel like Becton's going to be hard to retain because I think he's going to get a fair amount of money on the market because someone's going to see him as a starter. And the Eagles weren't paying him starting money, right? And they have guys in the bullpen that are ready to step in that role, and I feel like they're going to address offense. They're always going to be addressing the offensive line. So I think I still think that he's a go. Slay, as I wrote in my comment, I think it's a real tough decision. I honestly, like, if you want my opinion,
sure,
I'd bring him back. I thought he played phenomenally this year. Right, and I don't, and for some reason, there's a segment of the fan base that I don't think after this year, but like certainly last year, I thought he played well last year.
Jeff, I question it every single day. I felt like I was like a Darius Slay homer at one point because I didn't understand the backlash that he got from a lot of Eagles fans.
Right, Slay's good. Now, look, he doesn't have any guaranteed money left on his contract, so that's you look at that, and he's at 34 years old. I mean, what are they going to do? They're going to have to restructure the deal, right? And then how much are you willing to kind of go there with a guy who's at that age? And you risk bringing back a guy that, quite frankly, could all of a sudden just fall off the cliff a little bit because he's at that age. I don't think he is. I'd bring him back. But yeah, they have guys again that they've drafted and developed, and you could certainly move Cooper outside in base and then move him back into nickel, Cooper DeJean. You have Isaiah Rodgers as a restricted free agent. I had him going. That's going to depend, I think, a little bit on what they do with Slay. He could certainly return as well and maybe step into that role. You also have Keely Ringo, who's shown that he's, a guy that potentially could be a starter. I don't know if they feel that way. So I think it'll be interesting. I think Slay's a tough choice.
The decision to go with an offensive coordinator who's never called plays before, when they've always talked about it, and I went back and looked at quotes from Jeffrey Lurie and others regarding Howie about the strict, how they go about a really thorough process to decide when they're trying to hire somebody. What do you think about the Kevin Patullo hire, and what would make it different than the last two times they've gone with an inexperienced play caller from what you know?
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess you could also look at it, that fact that they didn't really go through an extensive coaching search suggests that they feel so comfortable with Kevin that they didn't feel it necessary.
They did pass over him twice, though, in-house, right?
Correct. Well, yeah, true. The first time was Brian Johnson. It was going to be either one of those guys, and,
right.
And I think they sweetened his contract and gave him like a associate head coach title because he had been passed over, and I think they were also worried about losing Brian because in that position, Brian was a quarterback coach, and he could have they wouldn't have been able to keep him if they wanted to leave for an offensive coordinator job. So that kind of factored into it too. And you would hope that they thought they were taking the best guy. Obviously, that didn't pan out quite the way they had hoped. But I think they didn't want to get a situation. Look, they won a Super Bowl. It was very late into the season. Let's be frank. There just weren't many great candidates out there, or at least not. There were candidates out there, but not as many as you would have gotten. Say if you hadn't gone to the Super Bowl or you had made the postseason. And I think, Kevin had been a loyal soldier, and I think, Nick respects him immensely, and they also had the continuity thing that they didn't want to disrupt with Jalen Hurts. And the scheme is, from what I understand, the terminology, they're going to have to change the terminology on Jalen again or the offense. The scheme is going to have a lot of, what has been in place. Obviously, they got to the Super Bowl and win it. Kevin has his own flavors that he'll bring to it. But you have to, figure out where Jalen was in all this. And I think that they just didn't want to have to change things this late in the process again, for him.
Jeff, thanks for the insight as always, man. We appreciate it. We'll be following you along. It's going to be a busy offseason for the Eagles, and we blink, and now all of a sudden the Combine's starting. So I know your life is busy as well. We appreciate the time as always.
Thank you, buddy.
All right, guys. Talk to you soon.
There he is, Jeff McLane on the
Thank you so much for checking out our content on the 97.5 The Fanatic YouTube channel. Hope you enjoyed the video. And remember, you can always be checking the playlist. There may be something you missed from one of our shows during the day that you want to go back and check out. So every time you like a video, like it, subscribe to the channel, and you'll have that great content coming to you every single day. You're greatly appreciated.